13, the Pharisees therefore said to him, you bear witness of yourself. Your witness is not true. Verse 14 says, Jesus answered and said to them, even if I bear witness of myself, my witness is true, for I know where I came from and where I'm going. But you do not know where I come from and where I am going. You judge according to the flesh. Bless his holy name. Judge no one. And yet, if I do judge, my judgment is true. For I am not alone, but I am with the Father who sent me. It is also written, watch this, in your law, that the testimony of two men is true. I am one who bears witness of myself, and the Father who sent me bears witness of me. Then they said to him, y'all don't see the sarcasm here, where is your Father? Jesus answered, you know neither me nor my Father. If you had known me, you would. Just give him 30 minutes. I know I'm safe in saying that some of us watched a debate that took place this week. Is that right? Was it Thursday? Y'all watched it. Some of y'all watched it. Was it Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Monday? It happened earlier this week. Is that right? Where there were 10 candidates that they asked a number of questions to. And they are there to win you over, to vote for them. Y'all better help me. Now, they told us a lot of stuff. If I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to change this, and I'm going to change that. In other words, they told us what they wanted us to hear. They told us whatever it took to try to win us over to their side to vote for them. Now, the challenging thing is, we don't know if any of it was. Y'all better help me. Because none of them have made it to that position to be able to carry out what they promised. But one thing I do know, we may not be able to trust them, but I can trust Jesus. Whatever he say, I can trust what he say. Are y'all still here? In other words, here is something for us to hang our hats on today. I was going to say you can trust, but that you would have to be plural and include myself. So instead of saying you can trust Jesus, I had to change it and use a different pronoun and say we. We can trust. We can trust Jesus. Are y'all still here? So in other words, if Jesus say that I am the light of the world, I've got sense enough to believe I can trust him as being the light of the world. Can I go a little further? Nobody can tell me anything different than Jesus being the light of the world. Are y'all still here with me? Anybody know that you can trust that Jesus is the light of the world? And as long as you follow Jesus, you no longer have to walk in darkness, because Jesus is the light of the world. Are y'all still here? Can I bag back and just paint the picture for you? Look, it takes place in the court of the women. It takes place not in the court of the Gentiles, which was the first court, but it takes place in the second court, in the court of the women. In the court of the women, there was where they brought their money. You would look and find three trumpet-like chests there. Then they were all was geared to something to go toward for the upkeep of the church. I'm using the word church loosely there, but it was there for for it to be kept and to be given. Are y'all still here with me? When you look and saw out of the 13, the first two were the half a shekel was given. The Jews had to pay toward the upkeep of the temple. Are y'all still? That's 13, that's right? Is that right? The first two was for the upkeep of the temple. I'm going to slow down. The first two was given for the upkeep of the temple. We just have two. They had 13. I'm going to keep going because I don't want y'all to get mad with me. And to the third and fourth were dropped psalms, which was to purchase the 2 pigeons. I don't see us with any pigeons around here. So I know that the Lord has paid it all, but at least we ought to be able to give something back to him. It is nothing new. Can I pause? Can I pause real quick? I was in one of my stores and was working and got into this conversation with this young lady. And I said, well, where are you going to church since you talk about your praise there? And she said, well, I don't go anywhere. I've tried this and I've tried that and I've tried this, and then they make you pay. I say, whoa, 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 whoa. I say, you act like it's a cover charge. I say, you're not going to a club. You're going to church. And I said, you shouldn't go with an attitude of folks making you pay. You should have a desire to give back what the Lord then blessed you with. Are y'all still here with me? Because none of us have anything up on our own. It's only by the grace of God that we have what we have and we are what we are. So nobody shouldn't have to force you to give anything back. And it goes back to the Bible. If you believe in God's holy and divine word, even from the beginning, they had to give God something back. Are y'all still here with me? So we looked at the first two was a half of a shekel to pay towards the upkeep of the temple. The third and fourth was dropped the psalms to purchase 2 pigeons, which a woman had to offer for her purification after the birth of her child. You'll find that in Leviticus chapter 12, around verse 8, just in case somebody want to check me. You go a little further, and the fifth will put contributions toward the cost of the wood which was needed to keep the altar fire alight and burning. And the sixth was dropped contributions toward the cost of the incense which was used at the temple. And to the seven were contributions toward the upkeep of the golden vessels which were used at these services. Sometimes a man or a family set apart certain sum to take some trespasses, a thanks offering, and to the remaining 6 trumpets, people dropped in money that was left after such an offering had been made, or anything extra that they wished to offer. Are we still here? So you picture all of this going on, people giving, and then the Pharisees decide to have court. Don't y'all miss this. Decide to have court in the women's court. Are y'all still here with me? They decided where we can put this joker on trial. We've tried to attack him. We've tried this. We got him now. We got him now because he didn't spoke something that we can get him on. I think in the legal realm, they would call that, is that slander? He didn't say something about himself. And in other words, you said something about somebody else that wasn't true, that would be slander. Am I close? Did I do a little readings somewhere in my political science degree when I had planned on going on to law school, and then I said, that's too much? Am I in the right house, close to it? Is that slander? Y'all help me. Some of y'all done watch some of them shows, Law and Order and all that kind of stuff. Isn't that right? Isn't that what it's called? So they say, oh, he didn't got beside himself. But I'm going to tell y'all why. Because we look at it as just him saying in verse number 12, Jesus spoke to them again saying, I, ego eimi, am the light of the world. Well, can I help y'all real quick? From a Jewish mindset, only God was considered to be able to say that he was light. So in other words, Jesus is telling them, I'm the Messiah. Because the rabbis believed that the Messiah would be called light. Are y'all still here? So you look at what he's saying. And I wasn't there, but by faith I believe. And even in 2019, I still know and can trust the Jesus that he is the light of the world. Are y'all still here with me? And since Jesus is the light of the world, I now know that we no longer have to walk in darkness if we follow Jesus. Y'all still here? Because look, I can trust. Can I just speak for myself? And if you really can trust, you shouldn't be ashamed to say, look, neighbor, look, that means y'all can do that. I can trust Jesus. And if I can trust him, you can trust him. Is that right? I don't have to worry about him just telling me a bunch of things to make me feel good. I can trust his holy and divine word. And if Jesus said that I'm the light of the world, I believe that he is the light of the world. Can I pause real quick? He who follows me. Y'all see that? Go ahead, and if y'all still got your Bibles open, I'm going to do a little teaching. Go ahead and underline that word, follows. Y'all got it? Y'all have a test afterwards. Reverend Jones going to pass it out. He who follows. Since it's in the present tense, it means it's not perfect. That means it's a one-time following. That means the following is ongoing. You just don't follow him out of the darkness and then don't keep following him. Y'all better help me. Let me get to Sunday school. Let me get to Sunday school to help me. When God brought the children of Israel out of Egypt, they followed him out. And they didn't move unless the cloud moved. They were even though they were disobedient, hard-headed, grumbling, complaining, they still followed him. Now I told the young adults they followed him for 40 years when it only should have taken them a couple of days to enter into the promised land. And sometimes when we are being disobedient and grumbling and complaining, the Lord has stretched that thing. He said, y'all could have had this. Y'all want me to give you something? Watch this. You could have had this job 2 years ago. But you was complaining about the job you had. Y'all missed that, didn't it? But if you would have been thankful for the one you had, I could have opened another door for you 2 or 3 years ago. Keep going, Jackson. Keep going. Look, that word follow means more than just following. It means you're becoming a disciple. So when you're becoming a disciple, we are taking on the characteristics of the one that we are following. So if we have come out of darkness and now are following the light, that means we should become light barriers. And we should be now illuminating the dark world that we live in. Y'all still here with me? Don't mean that we come out of darkness, we follow the light, but yet we are not light barriers. We are still walking around. Folks don't know that we have light because we still in darkness. But we can trust. We can trust Jesus. Did y'all know that? Watch the text. Verse 13. The Pharisees therefore said to him, wait a minute. I'm ad-libbing a little bit here. Wait a minute. You bear witness of yourself. In other words, where are your witnesses? In other words, you can't say, the Pharisees talking, you can't say that you are the light of the world without any witnesses. Y'all following me? They couldn't, legally, he couldn't say that he was the light of the world without any witnesses. And we're going to find out what happened in the text, because Jesus is going to say, y'all should have trusted me. And for us today, we can trust Jesus. Does anybody really believe and know that you can trust Jesus? Does anybody really believe that? Because let me help you. If you stepped out on faith and you wavering, not saying that I don't know, he may have died for my sins, I don't really know if he died for my sin, I'm not sure if he got up, then you're kind of wavering. That means I kind of trust him and I kind of not trust him. But when you come to your salvation, you need to step all the way out and say, I'm trusting in the Lord. Are y'all still here with me? Look, none of the 10 that was up there can't save you. But Jesus, he can. And you can trust him. I'm just trying to help somebody in here. The first thing, my brothers and sisters, you say, how can I trust him? Help me to understand, Pastor. I was just stopping by. I really didn't want to hear anything too much. I just came in here because I saw some cars out there in the parking lot and say, well, let me go in. The first thing that we can find out, why can we trust Jesus? In verse 14, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why we can trust Jesus, and we're going to go home. We can go get out of here. The first thing, as they said, Jesus said, you can't bear witness of yourself. And Jesus answered, watch this in 14. They said, you can't bear witness of yourself. Verse 14, Jesus answered and said to them, even if I bear witness of myself, my witness is true. We can trust Jesus. Well, why can we? I was looking for somebody that if there, can I give it to you? I used to talk about a first-class conditional sentence. Is that right? The if there is actually a third-class conditional sentence. What are you saying, Pastor? I don't understand all that. I'm going to give it to you. If I say something, I'm going to explain it to you. I'm not going to say something and then not explain to you what I said. It's one thing for us to come in here and shout and holler and scream and don't leave out with any substance. They say, what the pastor preached about? I don't know, but we had a good time. We shouted, we screamed, I cried for a few minutes. But what did you learn? Did you gain and gather anything? It's other words, it's potential action. What he's saying is probable. And he said, if I was to testify, or if I was to bear witness of myself, he says, my witness is true. He says, for watch this, for I know where I came from. In other words, the first thing, why we can trust Jesus, the first reason we can trust Jesus, he's cognizant of where he came from. In other words, he knows who he is. Watch this. Not only does he know who he is, he knows where he came from. He's cognizant of where he came from, and he's cognizant of where he's going. Look. How many of us, you better help me, Brother Moses, we may hope, and according to God's word, we say that we've believed and we accepted, but he knows. Can I pause and give you some extra? Can I pause and slow it down and give you some other stuff there? He says, my witness is true. In other words, what I'm testifying, my evidence of who I am is true. We can trust Jesus because he's cognizant of who he is. In other words, what he was saying, I'm God. That's what he was saying. And you don't have a right to question me. But since you are, and since I'm going to keep giving you this evidence, then can I help you? Not only is Jesus cognizant of who he is, I'm finna help us. We should be cognizant of who Jesus is. Are y'all feeling me? We should know beyond a shadow of a doubt of who he is. We should know beyond a reasonable doubt of where he came from and where he is right now. He's sitting at the right hand of the Father. And because he is, we should all be able to say we can trust Jesus. I'm making good time. I'm close within the 30-minute range. Can I give you something else? He says, I know where I came from and where I am going. In other words, he said, I eat there. O-I-D-A in Greek. Gnosko is another form of know. It's imperative for us to know what he's talking about. He's not just talking about perception knowledge. He says, I have full knowledge of where I came from and where I'm going. Are y'all still here with me? So we shouldn't just perceive and have perception of knowing, like I can look at you and say I know you from seeing you and spending some time with you, but I don't fully. Y'all better help me. But when it comes to Jesus, we are still getting to know him, but some things we should know beyond. Look, can't nobody tell me who I know who he is. Can I give you some scriptures to back up what I'm saying? So y'all check me when you get home. Look at John chapter 8, verse 55. He says, ye have not known me. That's gnosko. He says, you hadn't begun, in other words, you hadn't begun to know. But he says, but I know him. Him, I believe, is capitalized with a capital H. Jesus saying, I know him. I have known him perfectly. I have full knowledge of him. If Dr. Ray was here, Dr. Ray said then in John chapter 13, but he'll do it without reading it. Y'all, late nights I all caught that because he don't bring nothing up. He just spits out one after another. I don't have that, so I'm going to read it. John chapter 13, verse 7, what I do thou knowest not now. Peter did not yet perceive, but thou shall understand. In other words, gnosko, get to know. You don't have full knowledge now, but eventually you're going to get to know. John chapter 14, verse 7, if ye had known me, gnosko, I had definitely come to know, you would have known my Father also. That's Edo. What are you saying, Jackson? He's telling them, you don't even know me. Matthew chapter 7, verse 23, I never knew you. Gnosko, I have never been in approving connection with you. Then he says in Matthew chapter 25, verse 12, I know you not. Edo, which means you don't stand in no, y'all better help me preach this thing. You don't stand in no relationship with me. We can trust. We can trust Jesus. Why? Because we also are cognizant of who he is. Some people tell you he was a good man. He was a good prophet. And they'll tell you that he was not God in the flesh. But we should be cognizant and know Edo who he is. We may never know everything about him, but as far as where he's from and where he is right now, we should know that. Second thing, why we can trust Jesus. Second point is we can trust Jesus because he's competent when it comes to judging. What are you saying, Pastor? He says in verse 15, you judge according to the flesh. And he says, I judge no one. Let me help you, y'all, because what are you saying, Pastor? You just said his judge. In other words, Jesus is saying, I don't judge how you judge. You judge according to the physical. You judge according to appearance. Jesus saying, I judge when the time comes, and first thing, can I go back and get something? First time he came, he didn't come to judge. His coming was for salvation. And can I help somebody? Can I go on and hit us real quick? When we go to somebody to save them, to share the Lord with them, we should be not so quick to condemn them. Are y'all still here with me? Look, let me bag it back a little further. Earlier on, when we first got into this scripture, into this text, they brought the woman in adultery. Is that right? And they brought to him trying to trap him and see him. And they even pulled out, according, we'll get real religious. According to the scripture, this woman really should be stoned to death. She was caught in adultery, and we should stone her. What do you say? Jesus didn't say nothing. He kneeled down and began to write. I told you a couple of Sundays ago, I'm pretty sure he probably wrote all their names down. She been with you, she been with you, she been with you, and she been with you, or you did this, and I don't see nobody stoning you. And he said, he stood up, he said, where are accusers? She said, there are any. He said to her, go and sin no more. Neither do I accuse you. He's told that to all of us. Oh, y'all still don't act like you all that now. All of us have been told. You may not have been doing what she was doing, but we all have done something. And so my point is, we shouldn't go to somebody when we're trying to win them to Christ, condemning them for what they have done. Just let them know that Jesus has already paid the price for you. You don't have to keep doing that. You can come out of darkness into the marvelous light. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He's competent. In other words, he has the ability to judge if he wanted to judge. But he doesn't judge like we judge. The Pharisees, they judged according to the outward appearance, but ignored the inward conditions. They judged according to man's word, not God's words. They judged according to what pleases man and not what pleases God. They put more value on the physical than on the spiritual. Go on in the hijacks. They make this world more important than the next world. You see, what I'm trying to tell somebody is that we can trust Jesus. That's the second point. How do we know we can trust him? Because the first point is that he's cognizant of who he is, where he came from, and at the time of the speaking, where he was going. And then the other thing, we can trust him. How can we trust him? You don't have to worry about no deals being made out on the golf course. You don't have to worry about no backdoor deals. Are y'all still here with me? Can I go ahead and deal with it real quick and keep going? How did all of our forefathers end up in jail? And all of them end up going free? Because the judge wasn't competent to handle things according to the laws that were in place. Bless his holy name. They looked at the outward appearance. They looked at skin color. They looked at where we were at the time. And some of the stuff may still be going on now. Y'all looking at me kind of strange. I'm guarantee you, if you stop by any of them, you're going to find more of us in there than anybody else. We can trust Jesus. I don't have to worry about him making no backdoor deals. I don't have to worry about him working out stuff on the golf course. I don't have to worry about no plea bargain. I can trust Jesus. Can I get a witness? Can I just give you one more thing and we'll get out of here? Revelation chapter 16 verse 7 says, and I heard another from the altar saying, even so, Lord God Almighty, true and righteous are your judgments. So he knows that we can trust Jesus because we're cognizant of who he is. And the second point, that we can comprehend that he didn't come here his contempt to crucify us, but he came here to save us. Verse 16, Jesus uses another if. And he said, yet if I do judge, my judgment is true. Bless his holy name. For I am not alone, but I am with the Father who sent me. He said, my judgment is trustworthy. Anybody know that we can trust Jesus? We don't have to worry about him turning his back on us. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? And then when you get to verse 17, the third reason that we can trust Jesus, Jesus said, okay, since your law says it has to be 2 or 3 witnesses, let me call my daddy to the witness stand. Can I get another witness in the house? Since you're saying it has to be 2, well, I am one and my Father is another. And verse 14, he says, since verse 17, he says, since it's written in your law that the testimony of 2 men is true. Well, I get happy, brother deacons, when I know that the Father has confirmed that Jesus is trustworthy. When you get to verse 18, I start to get happy because he says, I am one who bears witness of myself. And the Father who sent me bears witness of me. That's confirmation from the Father that you can trust Jesus Christ, his Son, at his word. And since it had to be two witnesses, Jesus said, here I am a witness that I am the light of the world. And since you need another witness, let me call my Father to the witness stand. And I can only imagine in the court scene, Ego Emmy spoke to the Father and say, Daddy, they got me down here on trial, wanting to know, am I the light of the world? And the Father spoke back to the Son and tell them that I am who I am. Can I get one witness? And if the Son says I am, and if the Father told Moses, who should I say that sending me? Tell them I am sent you. Can I get another witness? And since the Father, the Son came, pointed everything back to Daddy. Daddy confirmed what the Son said. And then the Son walked the earth for 33 and a half years. For 3 years, giving sight to the blind. Even had a dinner banquet at Zacchaeus' house. Can I get another witness? And he said, I didn't come to condemn. I came to save. I didn't come for the well, but I came for the sick. I didn't come to lead you into darkness. I came to lead you out of darkness into the marvelous light. I just want somebody to know we can trust Jesus. Can I find somebody else to know that we can trust Jesus? There was a woman with an issue of blood. She came after spending all of her money. Doctors couldn't do nothing for her. Then they ran out, but she heard about Dr. Jesus. She pressed her way through the press, touched the hem of his garment. I believe if she was here on the witness stand today, she'll be able to tell us you can trust Jesus. Can I have a witness that there was his friend Lazarus who was died and didn't hurry. Jesus didn't hurry to get there because he knew who he was. He knew what he could do. They told him, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But Jesus prayed to the Father. The Father confirmed, answered the prayer. Jesus called Lazarus after being in the grave, stinking, smelling up the place, called Lazarus by name. I believe if the court scene was to continue on, Lazarus would stand on the witness stand and tell him, you can trust Jesus. Jesus called me out of the grave. Can I get a witness? Is everybody sitting there mighty quiet? Let me call some other folk to the witness stand. I believe there's a man that was born blind, and they told him who sinned, him or his parents. Jesus answered them and said, nobody sinned. It's for the glorification of the Father. Once again, Jesus points everything back to the Father. Let me help you. When John the Baptist baptized Jesus in the Jordan River, the dove, the Spirit descended in the form of a dove. The Father spoke out
said, that's my son, hear ye him. The Father has always been a witness to his son. Can I get a witness? Let me help you. They march my Jesus out of courtroom to courtroom. Let me help you. From judgment hall to judgment hall. You can trust Jesus with your life. You can trust Jesus with your soul. You can trust Jesus with your secrets. He won't tell nobody your innermost thoughts. He won't go put it on Facebook and tell the world. He won't tweet it out. Go and tell the Lord. You can trust him. Anybody know that you can trust the Lord? You ought to tell the Lord, I know I can trust you with my life, with my soul, with my mind, with my spirit, with my body. I can trust you every step of the way. You ought to tell the Lord, I too could be a witness for you. I'm gonna tell a dying, sin, sick world that my Lord, that you can trust him. Anybody know you can trust the Lord? Anybody tried him? Anybody tried him? He won't let you down. He won't fail you. He won't turn his back on you. You don't have to worry. I'm getting happy now. Sometime I get a phone call. We switched over from one place to the next place, and the new place. I don't have to get up and go and see who's calling me no more. It shows up on the TV, and if it's not somebody I want to talk to, I just let the phone ring, let the machine answer it, let it pick up, because everybody that's calling, everybody don't mean you no good. But when Jesus' name show up on the TV, you better answer the phone call. You better answer and tell the Lord, I've been waiting on your phone call. I've been hearing about you for a long time. I'm gonna tell somebody how good you've been to me. I'm gonna tell somebody where you brought me from. Do we have anybody else other than the Father that can tell somebody you can trust Jesus? I'm a witness. Anybody else in here a witness of what the Lord can do for you? You ought to be able to tell somebody, he brought me through this and he brought me through that. He's a mighty, mighty good God. I told him everything about me. I told him my sins. I said, Jesus, I know that you already know, but I'm a sinner. I need your salvation. I'm a sinner saved by grace. You ought to tell the Lord, thank you. Thank you, Lord. I'm going to trust you with everything. In my ups, I'm trusting you. In the valley, I'm trusting you.
Hello, I'm Charles Jackson. I serve as pastor of Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church in Daphne, Alabama. I hope you realize what an amazing God we serve. Join us next Sunday at 8 a.m. and 11 o'clock a.m. May God continue to bless you is our prayer.
Thank you for watching our worship service. We hope you have been blessed and will join or visit us at Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church, located 902 Daphne Avenue, Daphne, Alabama 36526. Visit our website at www.macedoniabaptistchurch-daphne.com and download our app from the App Store or Google Play. Search Macedonia Daphne.